People want to follow you because you have completed the journey they're on right now. They want the result that you have and already achieved. So if I know that's the case, what do I talk about?
Hey, this is Blake Sloan. I've been selling real estate over 14 years. Our team of highly trained professionals, along with our unmatched marketing, has sold thousands of homes here in the Myrtle Beach area, and this is how we do it.
This is a little higher level stuff, but I think it's pretty important. But the key we're going to talk about is being a leader, a charismatic leader for your clients. And I think that's important. Why is that important? The clients want to be led right now, right? So that's super important. We talk about there's two things you need: attractive character, and you got to be a leader. What do you think that means? What does attractive character mean? You need to be in a character where they're attracted to who you are, how you operate, and what you do, because that's what gives them permission to themselves to follow you. Are you guys with me on this? And I was noticing a lot of this about things I used to do. I now do them subconsciously, but I notice a lot with you all. Just simple things you do, right? So, number one, the key part of this, right, to being a charismatic leader to your people, right, because your people are begging right now silently to be led. That's something I think Abraham Lincoln said is something important. Just understand that they may not say it to you, but they're here in front of you for a reason. They reach out to us for a reason. They went on the website for a reason. They need somebody to help lead them where they need to go. Right? So the first key part here, right, is number one, you got to become an attractive character. So here's the thing I want you guys to write down. Become an attractive character and live the life your audience wishes they could live. This is very important for us in a destination market right now. This is why I want to teach on this. Become an attractive character and live the life your audience wishes they could live. So what do you think that means? And I think that we're missing a lot of this right now, just in operating and how everyone operates and everyone talks. But there's a lot of things that has to be implemented and inserted in your communication and your experience with your clients. I need you guys to be purposeful in creating and making sure you have your attractive character. And here's the thing. Some of it's pretty boring, right? But we have to make sure that we're creating this attractive character piece. And there's key things that really go down to this. And there's this, there's a few key things. Number one, it's super important. You got to have a good backstory. Very important. Good backstory. It's important to make sure that you have a very specific, defined backstory. Now, I used to think this is not a big advantage, but after going through and studying this a lot, it is an advantage. So if you moved here from Maryland, and your backstory is about how you hated Maryland, you want to have a beach lifestyle, live at the beach, and do these things, guess what you got? A great backstory. And now you're able to create this difference here. But what I notice is we don't talk enough about moving from Maryland down here and how much greater life is and how it was a struggle for you in the beginning, how it was tough to get down here, how you were scared about moving down here, but now it works out and you're so glad you took that risk. Right? Some of y'all are missing leverage in terms of what your backstory is. And so that needs to be very fine-tuned and very specific in terms of how you're operating and get your backstory. What does that mean? You got to practice it. Write it out, script it out. So you can get it in the car when you're driving people the same way every single time. Right? That comes through reps, which is super important. Second part of this is important too, is parables. Stories, right? I think this is something that we don't utilize a lot. I've noticed for me it's very helpful. I tell you, y'all see all the time, I play tourist a lot here. Right? I enjoy this stuff at Broadway Beach. I enjoy this stuff at Ocean Boulevard. I never see anybody I know because most people tend to take it for granted. But if I'm from Ohio, what do people from Ohio care about? To where? Here. Which is what? What's the number one attraction? The beach. Right? We don't talk about the beach enough, utilizing the beach, being on the beach enough. And stories that's the key reason here is live the life your audience wishes they could live. And so part of your conversation needs to be more stories about going to Broadway at the beach, going to Ocean Boulevard, right? Riding the Sky Wheel. All those things you need to talk about because why? You're leading them into a life that they want to lead, but sometimes we're so stuck in our world here that we're not looking at what the progress and process they want and need to have to get that life, aka the promised land. Why is that? We take it for granted. All the time. We all do. And so I think it's important to, one, utilize the beach. And also, you may want to have your attractive character show up where? Your social media. You know why? They're looking for that aspect of it and seeing if that's the case for that. So this is important on the listing side. It's very important on the buyer side as well. Because they're judging you based on what? Your story and your character. And so if I have a character that really resonates with what they want, what are the chances they're going to stay with me? Much higher. It makes your influence a lot easier as well. So what does this mean? Do I like to have posts when I go on the beach, do certain things? No. It means what? I have to be purposeful about what I post and how I post. Because you better believe every one of your clients looks you up on Facebook. Why? They want to see, is this person, this guy, or this girl real? Are they who they say they are? And so it's important to talk about in that piece. Number 3, character flaws. Be very careful with this one. I almost edited it out for you guys because I've had a lot of agents. They come in and just tell their whole life story and just a bunch of dumb shit that's terrible about how they screwed up. So that's very dangerous. I've had people, clients tell me, well, your agent said this, this, and this. I'm like, holy shit, they're just, I don't know what to do. You know? So the reality is, an example of that would be Alex's story. Right? You got into real estate. First year was hell. Right? Almost broke him entirely because he was told to send mailers $6,000 worth. Right? That's an example of what? Not being perfect. Because if Alex came in and said, I got real estate, everything is perfect for me, everything worked out great, it was everything, they're thinking what? F you, buddy, I don't even like this guy. They need to have some little bit of character flaw for you to be real. Be very, very hesitant, though, when you're working with buyers to other clients, because, wow, they're judging the shit out of you. That comes very along. This will be the story about back in Maryland, wanting to live down here, being scared to move down here. That's the character flaws you talk about. You don't talk about you being brand new in real estate and not having any deals. Right? You don't do that. I've had people do that before too. Right? So be very careful about this, but important, what's that have to do with your story, so to speak. Been on your own since you're 18, whatever it may be, something that they can relate to because people relate to people like them. So make sure your character is crafted that way so it's in that same scenario. You guys with me on that? Very important. Number 4, this is where we're getting at too, and we'll talk about this a little bit more. Number 4, you have to have polarity. What do you think that means? An attractive character has polarity. You have to have a little bit of swag, right? You have to have a little bit of oomph, and I'll talk about this, and I'll teach on this in a little bit, kind of what that is, but that's a key part here. Right? You want them to be happy. You got to understand that people will follow because you have completed the journey that they're on right now. They want the result that you have and already achieved. I'll say it again. People want to follow you because you have completed the journey they're on right now. They want the result that you have and already achieved. So if I know that's the case, what do I talk about? If I'm a buyer, working with buyers. I'm talking about me moving to Myrtle Beach and how amazing it is. And how I can take my wife out to date night and watch fireworks at 10 p.m. every Friday night at Broadway at the beach at the King Kong Sushi on the back deck watching the beautiful water after I just watched the sunset. What does that have them? It drives them into what's available. And that's exactly what I did last Friday night. I told Susan, I'll get out of here before the sun sets. Right? 8:30, and I about missed it. Thanks to y'all's CRMs. Right? So the reality is, that's a key part here to make sure I'm doing what? Sharing that story with them. Here's the deal. What if I'm boring and I got kids and I didn't do any of that? I'm not saying you're boring. I'm saying you got kids, right? I hear this a lot. Right? So I got kids, can't go out and do that. I need to be purposeful and take some time to take my kids places that tourists go, right? Or get a babysitter and take my wife out somewhere where tourists go so I can experience what it's like here to be at the beach. Because we come and get used to it, we don't realize how boring it is back in their hometown, right? That may be inland or in Ohio or whatever it is. I'm building the avatar and I'm experiencing life like someone's going to move down here. So I have to have that experience of that so I can articulate that to them. That make sense, you guys? So very, very important to do there, which is key. Number 2, I must maintain absolute certainty at all times. Number 2, maintain absolute certainty. What do you think that means? What's the key word in that sentence right there?
Assurance.
Maintains what I'm looking for. A lot of people have certainty in the presentation, but they're showing property or something else. They don't maintain that certainty at all times. And that certainty is to help get them on the journey and get them to the finish line where they need to go. So when speed bumps come up, when potential things come up, when lending issues come up, when home inspection issues come up, we have to maintain the absolute certainty. Why?
Because they're scared.
They need your certainty in the process. It was very evident to me this weekend. My stepdad and my mom bought a new house. I wasn't expecting that. It's a very nice house. I was surprised at that. They wanted to take us over there on Sunday to do what? What do you think? See our thoughts. And really ultimately talk them into doing it. And they wanted to know one thing. What do you think it was, Ryan? Huh? Is it a good idea? Is it a good? And I was laughing thinking my stepdad, just like Ryan was, right? Been in the business 20 years, bought and sold tons of properties, but now all of a sudden you're buying your own personal property. That's scary. And what do they need? Certainty. Stepdad called me this morning, wanted me to go over the home inspection with him. He's been in business 25, 30 years. Why? Because we all need that certainty. And so our job as the leader is to maintain absolute certainty in every piece. Face-to-face in the presentation. It starts with the phone call. Face-to-face in the presentation. Anytime I'm showing property, when I'm doing any issues on the telephone that may come up after that, same thing listing side. Maintain absolute certainty because they need that. That minimizes their recoil or their buyer's remorse. You guys with me on this? Very, very important. I wrote down, if you want to make an impact, you have to remain certain. Certainty is what drives people to leaders and to experts. That's your attractive piece, is that you're certain in an uncertain world or an uncertain scenario. They need you as that guide. Back to the pilot scenario. If I have a pilot who seems uncertain on the radio, what am I thinking? Holy shit, we're going down. Right? We're all dead dying. And so I got to make sure that you're understanding that you have to understand and be purposeful about your tonality, the way you respond, the words in your text messages, the words in all your conversations have to be strategic and maintain the certainty here, which is a key word. Does that make sense, you guys? Same thing about your story. The more that you do that and the more that you share your story, the more certain you become in that. Which has to do with what? Us, who we are, and part of that I'm going to teach you on a little bit. The polarity aspect has to do with us and who we are and how we're different. We're not like the average agent like the guy had in Greenville. That's creating the polarity we need to talk about because we're going to address that elephant in the room and use that to our advantage. The good news is most everyone has a bad experience with agents prior to us. The bad news is almost everyone has a bad experience with agents prior to us. And so we have to be able to use that to our advantage in that process. You guys with me that? Make sense? And the one thing I've talked about too is you're constantly posting here. And here's the thing I noticed. As you guys post more and more of your success stories on Facebook, what happens? Austin and Katie, y'all done a lot recently, right? Scott's pretty good about it. What have you noticed when you post? The quality gets a lot better. Your copy gets better. The story you tell about your clients gets better. The photos get better. Katie and Amanda are adding the flashing shit on there and the person that pops up and moves around, right? Guess what? As you get reps in that, what do you have? It gets better in that aspect and it gets more fine-tuned. And so you guys got to be better about that attractive character piece because here's the deal. Adding the shiny shit and the lights that light up make a difference. It gets people noticed. I mean, it's been pretty about lately, I think, past couple of days, but you got to be consistent about doing this, understanding that you have to maintain a certainty in how you come across. And the more you do it, the more certainty you get. And that's going to go back to telling your stories about previous clients. You want to have your 5 or 6 client stories that are the best. You tell that about everybody, whoever you can relate to.